No, we should start, right? Like, because it is a podcast. And then I'll start talking about what I was talking about. Can I talk in circles more? Yes,
Why don't we
can.
just have this awkward intro instead? That'd be great. Where we don't have any clue how to do this. You know, is it like that we're so uncomfortable with admitting that we like want to have this podcast where we're like, what am I trying to say? Like that people will actually want to listen to us? Is that what makes it so uncomfortable to intro it?
No.
Or is it just that we're not professional?
No. Okay. So yes, maybe on the second part, I think it's that because we open this podcast, you and I sit down and we chat for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. And then it's like, hello. Oh, hello. It's just
by
so
the
weird.
Way. Well, you have to know what it is. You clicked on it. I mean, it's got a title. Do we have to go as far as to be like, yeah, it's a podcast. If you didn't know where you wandered off to.
Exactly. Right.
It's a podcast. It has the word paranormal in it. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it won't in the title. It'll just say, you got it though. It's probably described as paranormal, comedic. I don't know.
This one will be. This will be called Paranormal Podcast. Done. That's
Done.
it.
Well, anyways, so it is a podcast. And my name is Wendy.
And I'm Chris. We talk about, like, I don't know, paranormal stuff and stuff. It's like Paranormal Plus. That's what we do.
I like that. That's a good description. That's us all day long. We got paranormal in our bones, but then we're also going to tell you a whole bunch of other shit too.
I know.
Because we love to talk.
Yes, I do, for sure. I was thinking about the Axeman story just today, and I was like, I think that had some paranormal tones to it somewhere.
What are you talking about?
It had some paranormal hints.
No, the whole story. I would know because I've been editing it. The whole thing, or your favorite version of it, is that like some demonic like creature was responsible for those murders. So that's paranormal because it's anything that's unexplainable. So yeah, I think that works. I worry sometimes about stories that I kind of have waiting in queue or whatever that I'm going to tell you later. Like I've pre-written some things. I'm like, I don't really know that there's ghost in this story at all, but that's not the technical definition of paranormal.
You're absolutely right. That's right. It could be cryptids. It could be UFOs, aliens, whatever, right? Paranormal
we'll take this
plus.
We want.
It's like batteries plus. You got paranormal plus when you tuned in to this podcast. Yes, sir.
Well, and also I'm really obsessed with the paranormal. I'm certain you are too. But like we listen to a lot of true crime podcasts as well and stuff. Yeah. I can't help but always wonder, like, are those places haunted then? Or what kind of spirits came from that?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I take those murder stories. I love hearing of, like, the detective work that's involved in solving those cases because that's, like, a really cool aspect of it for me, too. But I'm also still like, I bet that house is so fucked. So even when you're telling like a murder story, I mean, like you never know what that could have led to.
You know that where things went down like that, there's some negative energy that's just absorbed into the earth. So something has got to still be going on there. If a murder happened somewhere, there's going to be some kind of like residue left over, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no. And that's what I do too. Yeah. I listen to the stories and I'm like, wow, where is this house?
Yeah, right.
Just wonder what's happening there now.
Right.
What the current owner's saying. Whoa. They could take it that step further. Even though I do like the detective part of it as well. Who doesn't like seeing something get solved and coming to a resolution, and then when there's not, it's like you're drawing theories and stuff to figure out what it could have been. That's always fun.
Like Unsolved Mysteries. I mean, I used to love that fucking show. I mean,
oh my god.
Okay, so the whole premise of the show is that they are unsolved mysteries. But man, when they had those case updates, I would move up closer to the TV like, oh good, this is going to be a good one. What did they find out?
I loved Unsolved Mysteries, and then also the reason I had so many fears in the dark.
Really?
I mean, I think I was like 8 years old watching Unsolved Mysteries and stuff. So you hear about like people breaking in and killing people, and so then you're all paranoid every time you hear like a noise in your house. Or they tell the really good stories, like it will forever live with me that there was an Unsolved Mysteries about the Bermuda Triangle, and planes that would fly over. And there was like a plane that went missing. I think it reappeared somewhere. It had to have. And then the pilot had like 2 bite marks on its neck.
No.
Yeah. So where the story was implying that like vampires had attacked this pilot over the Bermuda Triangle, made him like, I don't know, disappear for a while, reappear, and then like years later or something. And then, he had these bite marks on his neck. So for the rest of my childhood, I slept with my hair covering my neck. And I was like, I'll feel the vampire moving my hair. And then I'll say, and my hair's too short to do it now, but when it's long, I tend to sometimes still put it like over my neck. Haven't gotten attacked by a vampire yet.
Still protected from vampires to this day. Wow. No, I never knew that, which is weird because we spend so much time, sleeping in our haunted locations that I should have known that about you.
There's a lot of times that we're so exhausted by the time we pass out that I think I'm not caring about that. And I'm like, you go ahead, vampires. I'm ready for you. I don't give a shit. I'm so sleepy. But our first time that we ever slept in a haunted location, I bet you $1 million. My hair was long then too.
Yeah, it was.
I bet you $1 million I was covering that fucking hair because I had my glasses and my shoes on. I don't think I came out of my clothes.
No, you did not. Actually, you put on a fresh pair of clothes so that you could bounce at the moment something went wrong. I was just thinking about that because we just stayed a couple of nights in Louisiana, and we slept at the Myrtles Plantation, which is, one of the most haunted places in the U.S. And we're 10 years into this. We're 10 years deep. And 10 years ago, when we first started sleeping at our haunted locations, I was shivering in bed, frightened, like, I have to sleep now? After all of that? After everything we heard and saw and did, now I have to sleep? Like, we barricaded the door to our room with the dresser. Like, it was a horror movie.
You know what, though? And it was a lot like the same thing as the Myrtles, where we stayed for the first time. Yeah. It was a plantation home north of Memphis in Tennessee. It's called the Magnolia Plantation. It's in Bolivar, Tennessee, and it has a Civil War history to it. And that's like kind of what's fueled these paranormal stories at that location. And it doesn't have a dark or scary history necessarily, but we were terrified. And I think we were a couple of years into paranormal investigating before we actually slept somewhere. A lot of other places were like overnight investigations. You don't sleep. You leave at like 3:00 in the morning. But Bolivar was our first time that we ever spent the night. And it happened to be a night that there was a huge like windstorm.
Oh my God.
And we were staying in the cottage in the back of the house. So we're not in the house with any other guests. There was only one other guest anyway.
They were weird.
And thank God we weren't in the house with them.
God. Oh man. So we barricaded the door because that seemed like the safest thing to do. We got in bed wearing our clothes. I think Wendy, you was wearing your shoes, weren't you? You were like prepared.
I was on the inner side of the bed because the bed went up against the wall. It was a small room.
Yeah.
And so I was on that, and I felt a little trapped. And so I had my shoes on, so I was ready. And I was, well, we went to bed late too, and I think we were getting up early in the morning because we always have to get back home. But we were getting activity in that cottage. They were responding to, we were doing I think a pendulum and a spirit board.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel right. And so when we were like, okay, well, it's time for us to like kind of cool it down and get ready to go to sleep, man, we put that nightstand in front of the damn door, and that was it. I watched that closet door the whole night.
Well, I was ready for that door to just start slamming into that chest of drawers that we pushed in front of it. I remember laying there just like gripping at the sheets up to my neck and like forcing my eyelids shut. And then I heard the footsteps in the hallway that walked over that damn grate. So there's this huge grate on the floor that's like an air duct, like a vent system. And it's a perfect square. You cannot walk in that part of the floor without stepping on it. If you're walking in that crossway, it was like it came in from the door from the house, and it went from the door to the house. There's a hallway. It goes straight into the kitchen. There was the grate. If you wanted to turn right and go into the living room, you had to cross that grate. If you wanted to go from the living room down the hall to the bedroom. You had to cross that grate. It was perfectly right in the middle of the house. And I heard those footsteps, and I heard it walk right on that grate. And then I was just waiting. I was just waiting at that point. Something's going to try and open the door. And it never happened. And I think I slept for 2 whole minutes. And that was it. As soon as I saw the sun, I was like, I'm in the shower. We're leaving. I can't deal with this anymore.
I think you got up to get into the shower, and you were like, "Are you ready?" And I remember I whipped the covers off, and I was like, "Yup, ready to go. It's my backpack. Let's get the fuck out of here." All of a sudden, this place did not seem right.
It was
when
not.
The whole investigation before that, it did not seem bad. We did get some. We got some EVPs once we got home and listened to them. There's some EVPs from inside that house that I can still remember to this day. And this was, 8 years ago or whatever. Yeah. That it's a man's voice. And I feel so bad for him because he seems like he's distraught. Like he's stuck in that house and doesn't want to be there. And there was some comments, you'd have to go to our YouTube page and check out the Magnolia Plantation. Listen to the EVPs. There's one that's says something about he can't get to heaven, and I just feel so bad for him. And there was a female voice that we got where we spent the night talking to one of the other kind of guests there. Yeah. And then as we were getting ready to leave, she was like, "Please don't go." Yes. And I think she was enjoying someone being there. Yeah. But that feeling out in that cottage was not the same at all.
Right. We found out, I guess the hard way, that when you go into an investigation and you ask for things to show themselves and you want proof, that you can't just shut it off.
But we have gotten so much better at that too. I don't know if it's going with our old age, but if you look at that first time we ever slept in a haunted location to the last haunted location we just slept in, man, we came in from our night out in downtown French Quarter, New Orleans, exploring the city. We come in and we have a early ass flight in the morning. And so it was what was it? Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we had to be up at 3:30 or 4. So we dove straight into that bed, and I was out like a light. And I loved that bed. Was so fucking comfortable.
Bed was amazing.
That room was so comfortable. Yeah. And it's such a polar opposite from the first time that we ever tried to sleep in a haunted location to now I take my kids into haunted hotels, and it's it's fine, just go to sleep.
Right, just
if
go to sleep.
Something wakes you up, just tap me on the shoulder and wake me up. I got my camera by the bed, so it's so weird. I don't want to think that, I don't think we're numb to it. I think you always go to sleep being shit, I really would prefer it if I don't open my eyes and you're standing right by the bed, in my face or anything. But now we have the ability to be goodbye.
Yeah, right.
Going to bed. Sorry.
So I think it's because we've kind of trained ourselves that we have to sleep in sort of situations that aren't ideal,
Yeah. I don't know if that's a mom thing or if that's a ghost hunting thing, but you're trying to get some fucking sleep because you're going to need it to get through the next day, basically. Yeah, so exactly. You've got to semi take care of yourself. So it's not the ideal situation or not the perfect sound or lighting, but you're going to force yourself to go to sleep.
Just like at the Dauphine. So I've got a story for you that I wrote a couple weeks ago, and I haven't read it in a while. So this might not only surprise you, but it also might surprise me.
I'm going to 100% tell you that it's going to surprise me.
Well, first of all, if you look at this place online, pictures of it just really speak to you. It's that's what you want when you go to a place in New Orleans. You want that, it's not a breezeway, courtyard? Is that what they had? They had a courtyard with the pool. It would have been awesome if we were staying there for a couple of nights because that pool looked amazing. The bar, which, notorious, even though the bar wasn't open. So anyways, all right, the story. Only 1 block away from the notorious Bourbon Street sits the Dauphine Orleans Hotel. In the quiet of the night, the sounds of trumpets blowing and laughter are a distant memory of bourbon nightlife for those heading back to the Dauphine Orleans. I sound like I'm reading an ad.
I'm buying it, though. I did like the street that it was on. It was quieter than some of the other streets, which was nice. I think, except the trash truck showed up.
That was really
and
nice.
The courtyard with the pool and stuff it had a very cool vibe
Chill.
about it. Like kind of on the outskirts, but it really wasn't on the outskirts. It was like 2 blocks maybe away from all the action.
So the Dauphine Orleans Hotel is an oasis located in the heart of the French Quarter. Courtyards open into yet another courtyard. Overhead balconies provide guests with much appreciated outdoor space. With over 100 guest rooms, this hotel encompasses rooms and property on both sides of Dauphine Street, which we noticed. It is considered to be one of New Orleans' finest and most luxurious hotels, and also one of the most haunted places to stay in the Big Easy. We'll go back one day and find out, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess we just made a wrong damn choice. We had chosen to be inside the main hotel when the guys had been there before, and they stayed in the carriage house. And I guess there's only like 2 rooms over that pool area, which would have made it a lot more secluded. So just like the damn Myrtles Hotel, but it's also the more expensive area, and we're on a budget. And but honestly, we picked the main hotel because on the hotel's website they imply that the bar is attached to the main hotel.
Right.
Which is true and not true. The current bar is attached to the main hotel. The original bar is not attached to any of these buildings.
That's true. It's free.
It is like freestanding.
Would you say it's freestanding?
They're very close, but it is pretty much like freestanding. You can't access it from any of those other buildings.
No, from our room window, we could have thrown a rock and hit the building that was May Bailey's.
Right. But you couldn't have walked into it from the hotel.
If that was possible, then we wouldn't have had a window into like an alleyway and then been able to throw a rock and hit. We would have just been inside May Bailey's had we opened up our window. Wouldn't that have been badass? I'm like, why is this so dark? Let's open the window and go investigate. Yes, ma'am.
That would have been perfect.
Grab your flashlight. That would have been awesome. Jeez, can I have that room? Let's go back. The history of the Dauphine Orleans plot of land extends all the way into the late 18th century, when it was owned by some of New Orleans' most influential first families. Don Andreas, long name E. Rojas. It's Almonster. Jeez, why do I pick stories where I can't pronounce people's names? That's not fair.
Negative.
Okay.
I would have been calling them by their first name and moving it on.
Donnie reportedly owned it a long, long time ago, and that's exactly how it reads in the notarial record.
That's a good description. That's fair.
We can assume that was somewhere around the 1780s, which is when he owned and operated most of the real estate in the French Quarter. I just like that that's long, long time ago. Like in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, yes. They're definitely Star Wars fans, you think? Yeah.
Yeah, right. During this period, Don, and last name I can't pronounce, donated a portion of the land to Charity Hospital. Colonial New Orleans can be summed up in just a few scant words. Disease-ridden. Sorry, that just cracks me up. Or convoluted mess. It's like rough as fuck. The hospital. I should have also put in hot mess on here.
But making it work.
The hospital, which targeted all citizens of the city without excluding anyone on the basis of color or sex or status, was integral for the overall health of locals and foreigners alike. It was after Charity Hospital sold the land that the plot of land surrounding 415 Dauphine came to be owned by many other wealthy families. Within the next few decades, the Chauvins, Brutins, Trebonniers, and Bonabels.
It's all these French words that you're not.
I know.
It's okay.
I'm so bad. I am brutalizing.
You to pronounce them correctly. I took 2 years of French and could never say that shit. I wrote it perfectly, and then the teacher hated me because every time we had to do something verbally, I was like, nope.
That's a nope. So here's one of the places that you and I really wanted to go by and take pictures of, and it just didn't happen. So, fun little fact for all of you New Orleans dark history and American horror fans. Between 1808 and 1811, the property was owned by Augustin McCarty, who was either Madame Delphine LaLaurie's cousin or uncle.
What?
Yeah.
Why did they say cousin or uncle? Like they don't know.
The records are unclear as to which McCarthy generation it was.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why.
They had a hard time, like, even documenting, like, her death and stuff, right? LaLaurie.
Yeah, but didn't our tour guide touch on that? Or when we were either with the Voodoo Priestess or when we were in St. Louis Cemetery, somebody talked about LaLaurie's.
Well, the Voodoo Priestess lady drove us right by the place. She definitely did talk about it, but I don't think she cleared up anything for us because you've written a blog about that story. She disappears, basically.
She did. So it was when we were in the St. Louis Cemetery when the phenomenal tour guide that I absolutely love and adore talked about how she was returned to St. Louis for a proper burial. When I did my research for that blog, when she disappeared out of the U.S., that was it. That was the last known word of her. But yeah, they said that she was brought back and buried there. But anyways, I wanted to bring that up because I love the LaLaurie story.
That's a fucked up story. It really is. And you could do a podcast about it. Eventually, you do have a blog out there that you just read the blog onto the podcast. Be like new to me. I don't know. I have such a short-term memory.
I wouldn't mind researching that one again. So anyways, where did I leave off? So I wanted to do the LaLaurie story again, but as you mentioned, I already wrote a blog about it. So I just wanted to bring that point up for anyone who is unaware of the insidious monster that was Madame Dauphine LaLaurie. Without going too deep into her story, I love saying her name. It just rolls right off the tongue.
Oh, it's super fun.
LaLaurie is most well known for the brutal torture and murder of slaves. That's right, she was a monster. After 1815, Samuel Herman Sr. was not born in Louisiana. He was a native of Germany. Born in 1777, but like many Europeans during this period, he saw Louisiana colony as an opportunity for an endless fortune. I love that. I wish that there was any place where I was just, it's 1777. Where can I go where I can get my endless fortune? Louisiana, of course. Let's just move there. I mean, was he investing in voodoo?
I think there's a lot of money to be made in a port.
Sure.
There's got to be a lot of goods coming in and out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So even at one point in time, I said something about how I didn't see where New Orleans played a part in any wars or whatever. I think it was World War II, maybe one. But they are a port to the entire country, and a big port at that. So yeah, I guess there's money flowing in.
Yeah, there
and out
was.
of there.
I mean, as we saw at the plantations, there was money.
Oh yeah.
So after moving to Louisiana, Herman commissioned an architect to build a home for him in 1831. Herman knew exactly what he wanted: federal style and architecture, and the best country brick, sand, and cypress. Herman was unwilling to forego this particular luxury. His particularity transcended all the way to the size and style of nails, the number of coats of paint he required, and because he only wanted the best. Unfortunately, Herman's grand plan for prestige and mass fortunes spiraled into a drastic decline after 1837 when the English cotton market crashed. This incited a flare of worldwide panic in which Samuel Herman Sr. eventually lost his beautiful home to another. Herman, his wife, and youngest daughter continued to live in the French Quarter until his and his wife's deaths in the 1850s. And today, the Herman home is actually known as Herman Grima House Museum. The front of the house and the museum is located on neighboring St. Louis Street, while the Dauphine Hotel owns the back carriage house and stables that once configured the entire Herman property. So, moving on to 1857, which is when May Bailey's place opened. Technically referred to as a sporting house, which is so funny.
That means that there's...
Oh, yeah, there were prostitutes there. May Bailey's...
by sport, they mean...
That's right. Sex. It was a brothel.
Which totally should be included as a sport. With how many calories you burn and stuff like that.
Oh, my God. But if you're working in that situation and you're like, well, let's think of the pros and the cons here. But let's just focus more on the pros, because I can't really focus on the cons because then I won't make money. Okay, back to the pros. I'm burning calories, yes. I'm getting paid.
Right.
And, awesome. I guess I don't ever have to worry about missing out on any of that. So.
Oh, that is not one of my concerns in life, but I do feel like this prostitution thing might have been an easy work. That's not actually correct. Because I imagine that you encounter a lot of people that you're like, this is really hard to like accept this situation and stuff. And sometimes when you're not in the mood, but you like force yourself to get in it to do it for whatever the good of your day or just to get by. And then during that process, all you want to do is punch that person in the face.
It sounds like you're describing my job, and I work customer service. I mean, how different was it? I mean, because it seems like the exact same thing.
Yeah, it kind of is. So, but you didn't have to leave your house or where you slept is what I mean. So that's convenient.
I actually wrote May Bailey's was a brothel / bordello. I said, same thing, different title, right after the sporting house. All sorts of terms were used during this time frame, like house of ill repute, parlor house, den or crib. But, let's just focus on sporting house because it's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, but if I was a prostitute, I want to work at the house of ill repute. Can you say it for me? Will you work there with me?
Repute.
Yes, repute. Post that outside your
that's right outside my rental.
If your landlord doesn't call. I wonder if that's against the HOA.
One way to find out. Where was I? Oh, yes. Right here. Okay, so in 1857, none of those were deemed to be legal. This section of the French Quarter was heaving in ladies of disrepute. Heaving. Men paid anywhere between $5 and $25 to visit a prostitute. If the man hoped to spend the night, he was looking at a bill that tipped toward the $50 mark.
Ooh.
$50, that's all she got. May Bailey entered the prostitution business by necessity, if not desperation. In 1847, her father was one of the thousands of victims consumed by the deadly yellow fever epidemic. May, seeing no other recourse, approached her father's friend for help. She wished to open a sporting house on Dauphine Street, but needed some assistance. The friend agreed, no doubt tempted by the lucrative cash that the brothel would bring in, and May's place officially opened its doors in 1857. But May had something that many other houses of ill repute did not. Under the ordinance concerning lewd and abandoned women, May Bailey's sporting house was gifted a city license, legalizing all the activity that occurred there.
How'd she do that?
That bitch was the bomb! She had a buddy in the legal department. This dude went into business with her, was a business partner. He got her legalized because he knew that this was going to bring in some serious cheese. So
there's a show on Hulu. It's called Harlots.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't seen this.
It's not great, but I have just a weakness for any kind of British shows. So, so one of the chicks, she runs like a whorehouse. I don't know what else to call it. That's not the proper name for it. But
house of ill repute.
Yep. She blackmails all the higher ups, like judges and whatnot. She finds out secrets about them, and that's how she gets away with her business. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's what she could have done. I'm saying whorehouse very politely, just so you know, like.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Very like keeping it real, but also not judgmental. So if anybody has any kind of offense about it, I don't mean it that way.
For real. May's girls provided entertainment for the gents who waltzed through the front doors of her circa 1820 French Creole cottage. It's doubtful that any of the men regretted their decision, though May's younger sister, Millie, resented being employed within the red light district. Isn't that funny? We slept within the red light district.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
It's crazy, too, because it was really quiet on those streets.
It was.
And it was during the decadence.
Oh, that's it. Decadence.
What?
Yeah, decadence. Like chocolate, right? Isn't that decadence?
Yes. Parade. I can't get it out right now for some reason. There was a festival going on, and we don't really know anything about the festival, but I have been down in New Orleans before around this same time period. So I've seen this festival going on before, but there are a lot of men on the street.
Yes, there were.
They're just so happy and so topless.
And just loving life and just not messing with us. It was amazing.
Well, that's true. Not not studying us whatsoever. But the topless is what really gets me. And on our street, as we were walking back to our hotel,
I was just thinking about that.
It's like one bar that was still open on the street, and there was nothing but topless men hanging out, as if you could not attend this bar without taking your shirt off. And right on our street, so it's a red light district, but there was a bunch of topless men basically right down the street from our hotel.
It was great because walking back from our tour, I was like, oh my God, because walking there, it was in the daylight and you're in an unfamiliar area, but it's in the daylight. So it's like, it's fine. It's manageable. But when you have to walk back in the dark in an unfamiliar area, you're like, oh no, we have to like walk really fast. And then like, as you mentioned, we're walking through this area and it's a bunch of dudes and I felt so safe.
I mean, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like right at that corner, but not
anywhere else. It was
anywhere
a good spot.
Because it was dark and there's a lot of alleys for people to hide.
Yeah.
And, we listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. So
yes, we do.
We are
when we passed
and we are ready.
We were. When we left that one little happy area, I was like, no, I want them to follow us.
I know. We could have lingered there for a while. They just seemed like they were having the best time.
It was nice in the red light district.
Totally good vibes. That whole festival I think is a good time to be down because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed. Millie, going back to my story, she was May's sister, allegedly hated everything that the fine bordello stood for, which subjugation to a life with little choice. I mean, when you put it that way, Millie, God, what a buzzkill.
Millie's such a stick. She's such a square.
Oh, yeah, but I have to tell you this. Okay, so she wanted a little bit more in life. In a venue where the satisfaction of the visiting Johns was integral to keeping the business afloat, Millie wanted nothing to do with the red light district. Millie got her chance to escape the sordid life she'd always known in 1861 when she met a nice Confederate soldier. Against all the odds stacked against the couple, they fell in love and Millie's beau proposed.
Oh, so Millie's going to get married off and just get her out of the situation.
That's right. That's what she wanted.
Good.
Yep. She's
a stick in the mud anyways.
Oh, well, though as she giddily prepared for her wedding, her happiness was cut short.
Are you coming up with these words on your own? Like
giddily? I don't know. I think, look, when I wrote this, I wrote like all of these stories in the same day and I was super like excited that I got all this shit together. But then when I'm reading them and I'm like, deduced.
You're like jacked up on coffee and you're like,
I was.
This is the best.
I was.
Well, we have talked about how we like word porn before, so
I do. Yes,
you were
that's
like,
true.
I'm going to use my fanciest words. Though. For anybody that checks out our website and checks out our blogs, any of the blogs that are written by me, just know that they're way edited by Chris.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so I don't know. I was jacked up on coffee when I wrote this.
I love it, though. I love the words you come up with.
Well, it's just, like I said, I wish I would have reread it prior to actually speaking it, because it's like, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said something else. But whatever. You get what I'm saying. She was fucking happy about her wedding coming up, but something happened, and... Yeah, so bad news. On the very day of her wedding, Millie's beau, she was shot dead.
Why?
Oh, boy was killed. Yeah, gambling.
She didn't know the gambling habit.
Yeah, she was probably going to find out sooner or later. Because, you can't just quit gambling once you're married. He's going to be sneaking off to the red light district to gamble, air quotes.
How else would he would have ran into her? So he's already...
I know. Right, exactly.
I don't know.
Maybe she
So
did.
He's shot gambling on the day of their wedding?
Yeah, this guy wasn't any good for her. Come on. He was gambling on the day they were supposed to get married.
And he got into a fight, and then somebody shot him.
Her wedding dress that she had sewn, like she sewn it by hand. She fucking loved this wedding dress, talked about it, wore it around as she was creating it. Never made it to the altar.
Yeah. Is she supposed to haunt the hotel?
Yeah, I'll get into that. I'm just telling you the history right now. I'm just telling you the boring shit right now. Just hold on. Hang with me. Hang with me for a little bit.
No, because I just don't remember. Like, I honestly, I researched this place so that we can pick this hotel, and I really don't remember it. So I'm like, wait, it was Millie was supposed to be there? That poor girl. Yeah. I could totally sympathize with her being super excited about something and then disappointed.
Well, here's something else to be disappointed about. And this, I didn't mention this to you while I was there, but I was looking when we went up to May Bailey's and you could look through the door, even though like they still had it closed off. They had windows there, but they were, the windows were covered by like plastic or something, so you couldn't see in. May Bailey's city ordinance license is allegedly displayed proudly within the lounge along the back wall for everyone to see. So the license that May Bailey got in the 1800s is framed in the fucking bar that we couldn't go into.
Yeah, and we bitched to everybody that we could bitch to about this, like how much we wanted to see this bar. And we did it in like a manner where we were hoping they would invite us like a special tour into
Oh yeah, we tried.
And
tried.
It didn't happen.
No.
But, I mean, we didn't outright ask them, hey, can we go into the bar that's under construction? You have it. It's been closed for like a year. Can we go into it? We were just like, man, this was our only reason for staying at this hotel. It would be, oh my gosh,
offer it up.
We really wanted to see that original bar. And they were like, yeah, it's been closed for a year. Here's your hot wine.
Enjoy. Well,
don't give a shit. I'm going back to watching the game.
Here's some more history. While Madame May Bailey was prospering, life on the other side of Dauphine Street was a bit of a struggle. 92 through 98 Dauphine, which is now 416, 430, so like basically catty corner. And also now a part of Dauphine, Orleans, which you know, was known as the White Elephant during the mid to late 19th century. Like much of the section town in that period, the White Elephant was a prostitution house, better referred to as a den. And the ladies of the night who worked in these dens had none of the class or manners. Basically, these women were nasty.
But that's so funny that May Bailey was like, yeah, they work for me, but these are the ones that I just can't. It would be me. It would be me that would be over in that house. She'd be like, but you can't act proper at all. Get your ass over at the White Elephant den.
But it's not like that. The women that were across the street, they were notorious thieves and pickpockets and prone to violence. So,
yeah,
like
that sounds like me. No, just the prone to violence really does. I don't know about the pickpocket.
They were Nellie O'Neal and Eliza Riddle, among others. And I want to say that one of the others, quote unquote, was one of the ladies that was buried in the super fancy cemetery that we passed while we were doing our cemeteries tour.
Like when we were doing the bus tour, you mean? And we passed those really big cemeteries that I was like, I didn't know where the fuck we were. This voodoo priestess took us in a van and drove us around New Orleans, and she did so many twists and turns. They could have kidnapped our asses.
I mean, we would have been screwed.
I guess I'm going to go with you wherever you go because I don't know where the fuck I am right now. And
she could have been doing crazy eights.
Walking through the French Quarter, I was giving you directions because I know where Canal Street is, and that's the only thing that helps me is I know where the damn Gulf is and the Canal Street, and that's how we were getting around. And then she puts us in a van and twists and turns, and I was like, we're gonna be kidnapped. I don't know where the fuck we are. And so she took us to all these in this like intersection that was amongst like 3 different cemeteries. They were so gorgeous. I've never seen them before. I've been to New Orleans 3 other times. That's not right. 2 other times. I don't know. But I have never seen them before. I've never seen these monuments before. And all of a sudden I was like, where are we? This is beautiful. So one of the ladies that worked at that facility was buried in one of those places. She must have had some fucking coin. Yeah,
she did. You remember the lady I was telling you about? She was a prostitute, brothel owner, whatever you want to call it. She got a tomb that she had made of like red colored marble.
Oh, yeah. She did tell us that story. So she was, you're right. I don't remember her name as well, but she told us the story that she was an infamous madam, we'll call her, of the city, and that she had so much wealth that she was amongst like all the other wealthy people. And so she could afford a place in one of these very fancy cemeteries, but she made her tombstone, I guess you would say, out of a red stone so that it really stood out, right?
Yeah, but she had like a mausoleum kind of a situation where it had steps leading up to it and a statue. And this is the story story that I had read prior to going to Louisiana was that, because I was looking into the paranormal aspect of everything, was that onlookers or people, I guess, paying tribute to the madam, I don't remember her name, they would go and pay homage to her. They would, leave her offerings or whatever. And in the middle of the night, her tomb would glow a fire red in the middle. So they were saying that even in death, she was basically smiting all the wealthy deceased of New Orleans by saying, "Ha ha, motherfuckers, I'm still in your cemetery, even though you didn't want me here. Like, this was supposed to be a cemetery for the well-to-do and whatever, but I made enough money and I can go wherever I want to go." But not only that, they said that her tomb glowed this red, fiery glow, but there was a statue that was at the base of the cemetery that was reported to have moved. And some people would say that it would walk around the tomb. Some people say that it would walk up to the tomb door and knock on the tomb door. So when our tour guide was telling the story, I stopped her and I said, "So what about the statue?" And she said they removed the lady's body. They moved her to another place. They buried her in an unmarked grave because of all of the activity around her tomb. And ever since then, there's been no more activity. The statue hasn't moved. Nothing has happened there ever again.
Wow. I have so many things to say. First of all, I love this story. I love this person. Like, the fact that she had so much energy in her soul that when she passed, like, it was affecting the things around her, basically. And then they moved her to another place, and maybe we don't know if there's activity that's happening there. Maybe she's more at rest, because when she was in this cemetery where she was basically trying to still stand her ground and prove who she was, and that she was as important as all these other fuckers, that she had all this, like, intense energy. And then she was, like, actually at rest wherever they moved her, because she's like, "Oh, okay, I'll just be at peace with myself." Or there's a lot of activity happening there and you just don't know where it is.
Right.
But, I love this woman because I totally sympathize with her. Like, that you feel like the people are just not seeing you as you, because all they see is money, or all they see is like, to see themselves in you or something, and you happen to be different. But she's just as important. She made just as much as those motherfuckers.
She made more.
Sucks we don't know her fucking name. I'm sure a lot of other people know it and they're screaming it to us or whatever. And at the time we really did know the story, because we talked about that even before we went on the tour. You told me about that red stone.
But yeah, she was.
But you're saying, oh, I'm sorry, I went back to what I was thinking. So you're saying she worked for May Bailey before?
She was in the red light district. So even she might not have worked for May Bailey, but I think she was in the same general area.
Well, I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere too. So even if she started working for May Bailey's and then worked her way up, then that I was just going to say that's cool that we had this connection to where she had kind of started. Or
that would have been awesome.
Because I totally support her in your face motherfucker attitude.
Right. I mean, in this story that I'm reading, of course, most of mine references are to May Bailey's, but this woman was either as big as or bigger than May Bailey's for as much money as she made. I just don't think that she was, I don't think she was legal. I think May Bailey's was the only one that had the legalization.
Which is a big deal. Like, that's a huge deal. You can't be successful kind of without having to fight the law all the time about it or whatever. So I learned that from my Harlots show I was telling you. The lady that gets all the secrets about people, about all the judges and whatnot, she is the most successful. So
nice.
I'm learning my ways of how to become an empowered woman.
By watching Harlots.
Anyways, were you telling me a story?
I do have a story to finish. And I only have like 5 more pages, so I'll see you in the morning. No, anyways. Where was I? Oh, yes. Nellie O'Neal and Eliza Riddle, among others, were notorious thieves and pickpockets and prone to violence. The newspaper back then littered with numerous charges against these women. None of them are particularly flattering. They do, however, paint a vibrant picture of the Dauphine Street and the encompassing buildings. Many prostitutes were desperate for funds, desperate for cash, desperate for survival, willing to do whatever necessary. I mean, whatever.
I would too, yeah.
These women of ill repute were known to stand in their doorways and lure men in off the streets. Once they had them, they beat them and robbed them. Sometimes. I'm sorry that I'm laughing. It's really not. It's fucked up because they're like, hey, dude, don't you want to come have a good time? And then drunk dude would come in and then they'd fuck them up and then they'd just like steal all their cash and then kick them out into the streets, or they would kill them.
This sounds like any relationship that I've ever heard about.
Or like if you're a praying mantis.
I mean, maybe not
survival.
Sounds like Mother Nature to me.
Right, exactly.
And it works just fine.
Ooh, they would bury the dead in the courtyard of the den. So we were just like within feet of this when we slept there. After, of course, they stripped off all of their personal belongings, because why bury them with those?
They don't need them.
Some of the women were legends, even amongst each other. Eliza Riddle, who worked as a prostitute at the White Elephant before it closed, was the sort of woman who would have frightened even the bravest of souls. From 1881 to 1896, Eliza Riddle was arrested a total of 24 times.
Yeah, she sounds super fucking fun, by the way.
Shit. I bet she had some like glass cut scars on her face. I don't know. I'm envisioning like she was like hard as fuck. She worked for, what was it called? The White Elephant?
Yeah, that's where I would work. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Eliza she might have been like cheaper too.
Well, you charge a little less to lure in the people, and then you rob them and murder them. So you don't really care that I was like, $10.
Shit.
And then, pick your pocket, bash you over the head, done with you.
Maybe she had a good reason to pickpocket these dudes, because when she went to the jailhouse and spent 10 years there, it was because she robbed a man of $500. I mean, and back then, $500 was a lot of fucking cash.
Yeah, man, she's rich, bitch.
Yeah. I wonder, this was the 1800s. Like, were women taken seriously? What if she was like, I didn't take that man's money, and what if she really didn't? I mean, she was a pickpocket, yes, I guess, because all the records say that she was, but this dude's just wandering around the streets of Louisiana with $500 in his pocket.
He could have easily lost that shit on his own and then accused her of it. Yes.
Right.
So it could definitely be that. She could have also been pickpocketing him. You'd have to be there to really know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Because I would be a fucking fighter too, trying to get as much as I could and get away with as much as I could. And also at the same time, I probably could be wrongfully accused of anything, being on a lower status. So
right. Okay.
It goes both ways.
It just sucks because back then women didn't really have rights. And if this man had $500 to lose, why the fuck was he with old bar fighting bitch Eliza, when he could have been at May Bailey's? I'm just saying.
But he likes that spicy shit. I mean, he can't help it. That's his thing. Like.
All right. Fine. I don't have anything else to say about that. While Eliza Riddle was in jail, her sentence was lengthened because she'd been found convincing male friends of helping her to escape, which didn't work out. So they ratted her out, basically.
Asshole.
I know. What was she doing?
Too fucking weak to carry out the plan because they got all scared and stuff.
Yeah, they went and ratted her out.
She just sat there being like, fucking assholes.
She was described as, quote unquote, one of the worst creatures on Dauphine Street.
Funny, because I love her.
And dudes were paying her. I mean, she couldn't have been that bad.
Because they're freaks, man.
Her so-called protege, Nellie O'Neal, also did time for larceny and was arrested. Oh, this sucks. She was arrested for stealing $12 whole from a guy at the White Elephant. That's all this man had. That's why he was, I mean, okay, back then in the day, yeah, I could see $12 being stolen, not $500. I think the guy that went crazy over the $12 being stolen was more legit than the guy going crazy over the $500 being stolen.
Nope. You heard the word protege, right? Like,
yeah.
She didn't pick him like the other one did, So, yeah.
Sure. When the police officers arrived to try and figure out what the hell happened, Nellie went crazy and tried to scratch the police officer's face and gouge out his eyes.
Yeah, why not? I mean, like, she's going to go to jail anyways. No, I support these decisions.
Okay. So today, the Dauphine Orleans Hotel, now owns both of the portions of the hotel, clearly.
Right.
What I just told you about.
The building that we stayed in, and then the building directly across the street from it.
Yep, and the bar that was totally closed out. Yeah. All right, so that's all as far as I've got on history. Now I've got, like, the ghosts.
I certainly hope that Nellie is there. I wish we had stayed in the, what was it called? I almost said the elephant room. That's not it.
The carriage house.
No, well, yes, we should have stayed in the carriage house just because it's more secluded from the rest of the hotel. But I love Ellie's story, man. Like, across the street and the rougher, tougher girls, man. That part of the hotel would have been nice.
So, who exactly is haunting this historic hotel?
Who is? I can't wait to find out.
Management and guests seem to feel like it's the ghosts wandering the grounds that were once visitors of Madame May Bailey.
Oh, so like the Johns? I'm serious. I don't remember recalling, like they were saying like you might hear past visitors of the bordello, and then I think there's a woman that you can see in like the courtyard, but they were not very specific on who these spirits might be. So tell me.
Okay. So, do you remember poor, heartbroken Millie Bailey?
Oh, Millie, yes.
Guests have spotted the ghost of Millie, dressed in her lace wedding gown, standing near May Bailey's. Basically, she's still hoping that her loved one might return for her. That's sad. She just wanted to get out of here.
I feel for Millie. She was like, my sister is this businesswoman. I don't agree with her business, but also she is just a businesswoman. Like, her sister's making it happen and she's making money. And Millie's like, I just want to be a wife and like, you know, to live that like kind of old fashioned lifestyle, which then wasn't necessarily old fashioned, but like
fashion lifestyle.
These days that's how it would be interpreted. Her sister May Bailey's like a working woman and she is making money and she's being independent and Millie's like, I just want to be a mom and I just want to be a wife and I'm going to be the best wife ever. And she was so excited about her wedding dress, and then all her fucking dreams just crashed because her man couldn't stop his gambling.
Right, and fighting. Another sighting is that of a man dressed in Confederate uniform, which many are led to believe that this might actually be Millie's long-lost love.
I could see that, yeah. If he really cared about her, then he's like trying to make it up to her. So he's going back to where she lives, where she's from.
Which is, it's kind of sad still to think that she's there in her wedding dress looking for him, and he's there in his Confederate uniform looking for her.
And so you wonder, do they ever actually see each other or where they don't meet up?
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know unless you get that communication with them.
It is really sad. So those are some of the spirits there. Even though no Civil War battles were ever fought directly in New Orleans, wounded soldiers or soldiers on leave tended to congregate in bordellos like May's Place, and the fact that some of those soldiers may still be haunting this former brothel is not surprising. The phantom figure has been spotted pacing the outer courtyard, earning his nickname, the Worried General. A parapsychologist was told that the spirit's name is actually Eldridge.
The first name was Eldridge or the last name, or you don't know?
I don't have a last name.
Oh, okay.
A team of parapsychologists did their parapsychologist thing and decided that his name was Eldridge.
What? I'm sorry. What is a parapsychologist?
Oh, shit. We're going to have to cue that one for a different discussion. I've got a book on that over here. Do you want, hang on, I can give you the definition right now.
Is it like a legit thing that you go to school for and you get a degree? Or is it, can I be a parapsychologist?
Yeah, no, you could, it's a paranormal, it's a power that you have.
Oh my God, I have that power.
There you go.
I don't even know what it is, but I have it. You mean like when you dissect what is going on and you draw a conclusion? Because we do that all the time.
Hell to the yes, you're a parapsychologist. Done
you
and done.
Both. Done and done. I'm going to put that on my resume. What is that book you're reading in the first place? What are you looking at?
It's the Handbook of Paranormal Powers. Discover the secrets of mind readers, mediums, and more.
I love that. It was send that to me. Have you read all of it?
No, there's a lot of information here. Yeah, I was hoping to come to an answer so I could at least have this in here for you. Parapsychology.
I don't know what it means anyway.
It's a theory. You know what? I bet I could just Google this shit. I bet I could have an answer for you in 3 seconds. Hold on a minute.
I can Google it. I could have done that instead of eating my tater tots while you were looking for that.
It is. I got it. Eat your tater tots. It's the study of mental phenomena that are excluded from or inexplicable by orthodox scientific psychology, such as hypnosis, telepathy, etc.
Wait.
It's the study of paranormal and psychic phenomena. That's all it is. It's a study of, yeah.
We're parapsychologists then.
We are.
We are. Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on this. I better get some kind of recognition. Where do I get my certification from?
I will print it up for you tomorrow. OG. What is it that they normally have next to the doctors? What's the 2 letters?
MD.
Yep, you get OG. You'll have your own little plaque. You can hang it up in your office, and when people say, what does OG stand for, you'll be like, original gangster. Of course.
100%. I want that certificate.
Coming right up.
Anyways, there's a Confederate ghost, and then there's
You don't want to know about what's going on in May Bailey's, because we don't have an opportunity to even go in there. There's a lot of shit that happens there.
I do want to know what's happening in there, though.
I wonder if shit's happening right now because of all the renovations. I wonder if that's really pissing off the ghosts.
You know there is. You know there is. You know that was the best opportunity to get in there because they're doing all this construction. Yeah. And it was something about on their website that says the May Bailey's bar is like a 2-story bar. And it's supposed to be this lengthy opening to the bar. And then when I said something to the faux May Bailey's bar, the guy was like, well, actually the second story is all storage or whatever.
Right.
You built over the bar that you make a big deal about on your website, that it's 2 stories and then built a whole floor to put storage on.
Yeah. Yeah, you outright asked him, and he was just like, yeah, no, we don't ever go up there. It's closed off. That's just where we keep the Christmas tree.
He did make it sound like it wasn't 2 stories, and by looking at the building, it didn't make sense either, because there was a second floor to it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because we attempted to go up those stairs that we weren't supposed to, but the door was open.
But the door was open.
Right? But it did sound like there were possibly people up there doing some construction work we didn't want to encounter. So we put a stop to that. But I was all very strange, because it's not the same way they describe it on their website. Is this a nice hotel and a good deal for you to stay at in the French Quarter? Absolutely it is. Does it have a really nice pool and very comfortable beds? Yes, it does.
Yes.
Was the entire staff polite and nice? Yes, of course they were, minus the bar guy that didn't ice that we asked for. But the original May Bailey's bar is not accessible. It doesn't basically exist at this point, and they did not make it sound like they knew when it was ever going to not be under construction. But it is a very, very nice hotel. It was a nice hotel to stay at.
It is. It was a very nice hotel to stay at. It's a real problem for us because a lot of the paranormal lore is actually happening at the bar that's closed down for renovations.
So if you're looking for haunted places in New Orleans and you're trying to debate between this hotel and another hotel, if you're looking to actively investigate, maybe pick a different hotel. Or most definitely try out the carriage house because it was secluded from the main hotel. And we've seen on BuzzFeed Unsolved that they had some little bit of activity there.
Yeah, sure, exactly. It's a beautiful hotel. The people were amazing. The beds were comfy. So if you're going for a place to snooze, then by all means, rent it and get you a good night's sleep. We had a good 3 hours of sleep.
I liked it being off of kind of the more popular street, but because it was quieter over there. And that courtyard, I don't know that many hotels in the French Quarter have a pool, and this one does, and it's a very nice pool. And that courtyard is supposed to be possible sightings of Lady in White and stuff like that. That might be what's her name?
Millie.
Might be, but we did not visibly see her. We took lots of photos that, I'll be honest, I haven't looked at any of my shit.
Oh.
I come home and unpack my shit and I have to get back into real life. So it takes me a long time to review evidence. Like a ridiculously long time.
One of my new favorite things to do is to review evidence in bed as I'm getting ready, to go to sleep at night. And lately I've had a reviewing buddy, my cat Pandora, seems to enjoy looking at photographs with me. I've taken a couple of pictures of my cat looking at pictures with me, like really studying these pictures too. Like there must be catnip on them or something, which I'm not dousing my pictures with catnip, but she is studying these pictures hard.
I would love to hear Pandora's take on it. My cat is too busy attacking my feet in bed. So,
well, even though I did get a chance to review some of my evidence, and like I said, I found some things on our tour of Zack and Addie's apartment. I got some EVPs throughout our time at the Myrtles. I don't think I got anything at the Dauphine, but then again, I don't think I even recorded at the Dauphine because all we did was record our podcast and slept.
Which, by the way, while we were at the Myrtles Plantation and we were recording our first podcast there, and you were telling of the stories of the axe murder in New Orleans, there was a voice.
No
that
shit.
Came,
Stop
no
it.
shit. I edited it out.
No. What?
I had to, and
Paranormal podcast.
I mean, it's not like I don't have the original.
Yes, you gotta put that
audio.
Shit on YouTube.
I gotta figure out how I can listen to it and get down
what does
to
it say?
that moment. I can't make it out, but there is a voice there that is not yours and it is not mine.
Wow.
And it's a woman's, and I mean, it sounds like a grown woman, and I'm just like, is Chris making a weird noise? Like, is this her, like, in a different tone that I've never heard before, or what? But it's so strange because it just comes out of nowhere. And we joked about if any spirits decide to make their presence known on our podcast, by no means will we edit that out. I totally edited it out because it didn't seem to make sense. But
wow,
yeah,
that's wild.
So I haven't listened to the one that we recorded at the Dauphine yet. Maybe there is something there.
Oh,
I can't remember. I don't think we did walk the premises with a recorder or anything. I think
so.
We mostly just took photos because there was a lot of chance for other people contaminating our audio.
Yeah, voices that we wouldn't know.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's really wild. I mean, I would love to listen to what you caught there, because is it like, get out of my pink bathroom?
But it's so weird because you and I both kind of speak directly after it. You first and then me, and we sound different. Our tone sounds different than this tone that's caught in between. But it's very much like they're starting to say something, but they don't get a chance to finish it because our asses don't shut up ever.
I know, right?
Just like how we talk over each other sometimes, we're just talking right over that ghost too, and she's like, never mind.
Well, and on that, I guess I'll say, keep listening, because we're going to have some stuff going on YouTube eventually. I have some clips that I need to put together and put on YouTube of the things that we found while we were in Louisiana, and we'll have more podcasts coming. So thanks so much for tuning in to us as we spew out all of this paranormal shit.
Bullshit. No, thanks for listening to us. I think we've stressed it enough how desperate we are for your attention and your collaboration on sharing this interest that we have. So, Yeah. If you're listening, thanks for listening, and keep tuning in, because we are going through that evidence from New Orleans, me, very slowly. But
it is a slow process. So, I mean, you got to listen to every little inch.
Every little inch. But we'll get it out there, and we'll keep talking about it as we do, like with all investigations. We've talked about many different investigations during this Skype call to begin with. Right. So they don't ever lose your love and appreciation and attention they always leave a mark on you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Every location that we've been to. That's true.
Yeah. From the beginning, from 9 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever we went to Bolivar to, just recently in New Orleans, it stays with you. So, because it's fucking magic, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So, thanks so much, guys.
All right. Pineapple out.
Nope. Why not? Nope.
I just love it.
I love it. Pineapple
I love
out.
it.
Bye.